Hi, I'm Ash and welcome back to my channel, and in today's video we're going to explore one of the unsolved mysteries here in Australia. So grab your cup of coffee. I've got mine. I've got a caramel latte today in my Star Wars mug. Delicious. Grab some snacks, maybe some Maltesers, maybe some lollies, whatever you want, and let's get into the video. Are you like me and fascinated by all things creepy, all things weird, all things unsolved mysteries? Well, you're at the right channel. So today we're going to be talking about the disappearance of Frederick Valentich, which Luke and I recently learned about on our Great Ocean Road roadie, and all those vlogs are up if you want to have a look. We briefly talked about what happened to him, but we're going to do a deep dive today. Now, there's not a heap of information online. There's some contradictory information, things like that, lots of conspiracy theories about what went on, and this is what I found out. There are a lot of other YouTube videos on this which are super interesting, so make sure you check those out too. And as always, I've got my laptop because I don't have a photographic memory, and maybe one day I'll be able to memorize everything so I can constantly stare at the camera, but perfection makes practice. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just being me, okay? So hopefully that's okay, and thank you to all the new subscribers. I'm so happy you're here. So, sorry, I cannot sit still. I hope you've worked that out by now. A great YouTuber, Ashley. Anyway, who was Frederick Valentich? So he was an Australian pilot. He was 22 years old at the time of his disappearance. And he went on a 125 nautical mile flight, and for those of us who use the metric system, that's 232 kilometers, so not too far. This flight, he was in his aircraft, a Cessna 182L, small aircraft, and he was going to fly over Bass Strait. So Bass Strait is the sea between mainland Australia and Tasmania, and it's what's separating it. Valentich was born in Melbourne, Australia, to two Italian immigrants. And his dream job, ever since he was like a young boy, was to be a pilot. He was often described as quiet, friendly, and determined, and I feel like this is something I can relate to because I'm not super loud, but I also, whatever I do, I like put my heart and soul into it, and I'm very determined to succeed, things like that. And he trained with the Air Training Corps, all the normal things you would do if you wanted to be a pilot. I think he was a teenager around this time, like 17, 18. And he gained his private pilot license very early on. So this meant he could fly by himself and he could fly non-commercially. So I think that means you can take passengers as well. I'm not too sure. He was extremely determined, and he did want to also get his commercial license, and his family was super supportive of him doing so. Melbourne weather is so annoying. Sorry, we're going on a tangent already. It's like 20 degrees outside, but it's cold inside, but it's raining, and it just doesn't make any sense. And yesterday was like 34 degrees. What is going on? Just be consistent, Melbourne weather, please. Valentich studied a lot to do with flights and weather when he was only 20 years old. He was also working full-time as well as studying. I haven't been able to find out what his job was, and he was quite secretive about his pilot journey. I don't know why. Maybe he just wanted to keep it to himself and his close family and partners or things like that. This is kind of important. Valentich was interested in UFOs, he was interested in aliens, and he was interested in extraterrestrials and all those otherworldly things. Leading up to his disappearance, Frederick's father, Guido Valentich, stated that Frederick was an avid believer in all those otherworldly things. And he became increasingly worried about attacks from UFOs, attacks from aliens, an alien invasion being imminent. Somehow Frederick had gained access to classified information from the Royal Australian Air Force about like documents that had things to do with UFOs. But I don't think he ever told anyone what was in there and just kept it very vague. And according to his dad, 8 months before his disappearance, his mother had seen some bright lights in the sky. She called for Frederick, who came running obviously, and they both saw these lights in the sky, and then all of a sudden they just disappeared, just like that. I think this made his parents kind of believe in like UFOs or anything like that, but I haven't gone down that rabbit hole too much. So what happened at the flight? Why was Frederick Valentich on this random flight in the evening of the 21st of October 1978? Well, it's a very interesting story for sure. Valentich had recently obtained a Class 11 pilot license, which meant that he could fly at night non-commercially and rely on his own eyesight. Like, he didn't have to get permission to get airport lights or anything like that. For this particular flight, he logged it as recreational, and he had the intention of picking up friends on King Island, which is in Bass Strait. And he also lodged that he was taking 4 life jackets with him. So this was just supposed to be one round trip from the mainland Australia to King Island and back. However, it wasn't all that it seemed. Even though he had told the aircraft people, all of those fancy names, even though he had told them that he was picking up friends on King Island, he had told everyone else that he was going to get crayfish, like go fishing. And I kind of find it interesting, like, why would you need to make up 2 different stories, one to tell your like workmates and one to tell your family and friends? I just find that very interesting, but we would soon find out that both these were untrue. But we still don't really know why he went on this flight. So the original journey was meant to be from Maribyrnong, Victoria, to Cape Otway Lighthouse, then to King Island, and then back. The briefing officer who approved this flight said that Valentich seemed to be in a normal frame of mind, nothing unusual, just a pilot wanting to fly really. He didn't seem too concerned and wasn't worried and didn't think anything was going to go wrong. However, he has recounted this and said that he wished he knew something at the time, and apparently there were no mention of UFOs or anything like that. And as I said before, this occurred on the 21st of October 1978 when Valentich was only 22 years old. So, the disappearance of Valentich. What happened? 40 minutes into the flight, Valentich noticed something unusual hovering above his own aircraft. Something appeared about 1,000 feet, according to his own estimations, above him. And originally he thought it was just another aircraft at first and didn't think too much of it. However, he radioed in to Melbourne Air Traffic Control around 7:06 p.m. in the evening to ask them if there was any known aircraft in his vicinity, and if they were known below 5,000 feet. I'm not good at the science or the numbers stuff, so I think his flight was below 5,000 feet, and any planes like above that wouldn't affect his flight path or whatever. So Melbourne Air Traffic Control informed him that there was nothing on their radar and there was no other aircraft known to be out flying. He then went on to explain to Air Traffic Control what he could see. He said it was kind of hovering, spinning around him, and I think flashing lights as well. Eventually his engine began to struggle and idle a little bit. I don't know if it like went kaboom or anything like that, but it was struggling, and I believe he had plenty of fuel and no reason for the engine to be struggling at the time, unless he had made a huge mistake. He kept in touch with air traffic control, and eventually he was like, it's not an aircraft at all. And that's very freaky. I also want to give a shout out, even though I have like way less subscribers, to the Relics YouTube channel. I'll link it below, but they have the actual original transmission in that video, and it's quite freaky, so check that out. And then at 7:12 p.m. all communications were completely cut off, just like that, zilch, and all that was left was this metallic sound. I guessed like white noise maybe, but it was a very weird metallic sound, and it is still debated to this day what that sound was. I believe his girlfriend at the time said it might have just been his microphone or something like that, but yeah, no one has come up with an actual theory of what the sound was, so we don't know. So of course a search was immediately undertaken, and to be fair, this search didn't go on that long. It only went to October 25th, and then they didn't find anything, so they immediately just stopped and presumed his outcome was fatal, which is pretty sad for his family and friends. But they did an extensive search of the area. They searched by air, they searched by sea, and they searched by land, and they found nothing. No like leftover aircraft, no human remains, nothing like that, which is even weirder. But when you think about it, if he went into the sea, he could have gone quite deep, but still, like, how deep does he go? You know what I mean? However, 5 years after his disappearance in July 1983, they did find an engine cowl flap that washed up on Flinders Island that could have been a potential match to Valentich's plane. So I believe how planes work is they have serial numbers, and whoa, my camera's doing something weird. Sorry, getting distracted. I believe they have certain serial numbers that are like a range, and some of the planes have same ones. So it could have been his plane, it could have been a very similar plane. It has not been confirmed. Okay, so my camera died and I had to replace the battery, and so we're up to some possible explanations of what happened to Valentich. And there's a lot of conspiracy theories, a lot of information, a lot of contradictory information, so we'll just go through a few today, and then you guys can let me know what you think. The first one is that Valentich staged his own disappearance, and the reason they said this is because he didn't really track his own flight path or put it on the radar or anything like that. He said where he was going, but yeah, didn't plot it, and he could have easily gone off his flight path somewhere else. However, this is probably not likely because his family have come out and said he's not like that, but who knows? I also feel like the media said that he could have easily done this and then come back later on, but it's 2024 and he hasn't come back. Although I do know lots of people who have gone missing for like 8, 10, 20 years and then come back later and been absolutely fine. So maybe in another 10 years he'll appear, but I don't think that's likely. I think unfortunately he isn't alive anymore. So the next possible explanation is that he had become disorientated while flying and flipped his plane over, and that the lights he saw were his own plane lights and the reflection from the water. However, this one is not super likely, because if this did happen, it's likely that his engine would have cut out really, really abruptly, and they would have noticed while he was radioing air traffic control. And in 2013, there was a review of all the documents, all the transcripts, the like recordings. Some like fancy ass people did a review, and they came to the conclusion that it was most likely he was, I guess, having like sensory issues while flying, which is quite common. And the one that he was having was an illusion of a titled horizon. So this is quite common for pilots. And I also want to note here that he had only logged about 15 hours of nighttime flying, so his vision may have become easily impacted. So this sensory illusion stuff for pilots or people in aviation, according to Wikipedia, is that pilots may experience disorientation and loss of perspective, creating illusions that range from false horizons to sensory conflict with instrument readings or misjudging of altitude over water. Now that sounds terrifying, but also kind of makes sense being a pilot and then at night and you might hallucinate because I guess it's not natural to fly. And because he experienced this, he likely put his plane into what they term a graveyard spiral. So like a downward spiral, often called, I can't say that word, a deadly spiral, and basically where you turn the plane and it like goes and crashes and you die. And that because he was essentially orbiting himself and hallucinating, allegedly, I don't know how true this is just what they came up with, what he mistook for what was orbiting over him, and that the lights were likely just from planets like Venus. But yeah, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I think this is really interesting and I didn't really know about it. And one other thing very quickly is there was a photographer, I can't quite remember his name, but he was taking film photography, I believe long exposures of the sunset at Cape Otway at the lighthouse. And when he got these pictures developed by Kodak, he saw something in like probably the top right hand corner, so like here, and it was like a smudge, like a black smudge. So something that could have happened in post-processing while the film was being developed. Maybe someone got their fingers in the film, anything like that. That's what he thought at first. So he went back to Kodak, he got it checked out, and they were like, nope, nothing weird. So I think he like went to the media with it and was like, hey, this was on the same day that that guy went missing. So I don't think there's any more to that story, but that's kind of interesting. I don't know whether it was the plane or what he allegedly saw or anything like that, but I just find this stuff really fascinating. And yeah, one last thing I have to mention too is that a lot of ufologists have just claimed that Valentich was abducted by aliens. And I did see a video from his girlfriend, I think her name was Rhonda or Rhoda, something like that. And she said that Valentich would happily go in an alien, like he would happily go with aliens if they abducted him. However, he wanted his girlfriend to go with him. Now, she wasn't on this flight, so she doesn't think that that theory is likely. However, there are a lot of speculations. So if you talk to any ufologist, they will say that this is what happened. And like maybe, I don't know, but it is interesting that they haven't actually found anything. Like they haven't found a body, they haven't found any debris from the plane, they haven't found the plane, other than that like one engine part maybe. So again, let me know what you think in the comments. What happened to Valentich? What theories do you like? What theories can you debunk? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. And I can't get my camera to focus. The joys of camera stuff. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I'll be back again soon. I'm Ash.